Alright, so just for my magistrate, so he can straighten out the magi issue he's been experiencing, and he didn't realize that his own family member was already behind the eight ball in whatever fashion he was being the most helpful, which he was, I heard. But there were other schematics going on in illegal territory, which it's hard for him to do everything he needed to do, but get out of the office and follow all of that, being the only one who was, like, in his, like, set path, we'll just put. Because, right, the parentals before us were set in a failure position, which magistrate kind of understands if his son explains it to him in not in their lives, because he succeeded with being a good dad or father for his son, but on the female side it was 100% like deadly accurate, like, oh my god, failure every which way you go. And then to try to pair who is failing in their realm, matching it up with who's failing in her realm, which usually should be one and the same, but like, so this way you don't have crossover between jumping like criminals, which is why the sequencing was the first agenda line, but actually first agenda line was getting the two pair together to make sure portability and explainability stayed in a very small circle that magistrate had already set up on both behalfs, but because he knew 100% of like what was going on as it pertained to his son, to then bring new change of the season representatives in to then be able to work in small operation of extraction of the issued problems. I don't know how this grew so large that other whatevers were brought into a very particular problem that needed to stay in small formation, so it was the most powerful and effective for all involved, being that there are multiple issues. Now there are multiple, I mean, there's always multiple races on the planet, but there's one race that is in charge of the two gods, and their ability to work with others is they're able to work with everybody in the sense that they get along with everybody, but there are so many already dipshit levels of failures due to the set positioning of the failure of the clinical for Lynn and the daughter who came after. That's why it's clinical. It's the iCal, the calendar that the two gods come on, the only two family routes that they ever come on. So it's an I calendar for the two of them. That's how the points are positioned in this sector vector of clusterfuck what the fuck. So this way it was set cycle positioning. The U and the R, the tall R, F looking thing, the FU that goes into the U bowl, the cup of like, oh my god, I don't know, evaporation, what we're doing. And then it's a set cycle with a seal that nobody's getting in and out. Not one. They're going in a holding tank if they die, and that's it. Because there is so little lack of understanding of severity and too many questions and too many capital montages working simultaneously in criminal networks and rings that don't want to listen either, which then becomes dangerous for law enforcement. It was already dangerous before we got here, and now it's like incredibly dangerous on scales that are like, I mean, it's like at this point I can't even give you a certificate of cleanliness or like assurance that the planet survives or any of the other clusterfucks. That's the level that we were at. Sealed containment before we arrived. That was a requirement. That was magistrate's requirement. And it said when somebody unsealed it that you have lost your certificate of compliance. So why was the female god forced in to have sex with all these other tryouts when the god from the magistrate's family pool that she wanted, already knew and was trying to avoid at all costs having to have to go down the clinical failed trial a second route, since the end of it's going to be clusterfuck, what the fuck, there's no more human existence, any existence anywhere. There's no portability system. There's just a lot of invisible shield at the moment and a catcher's mitt and cling on of one set of circumstances, since that was all that needed to be seen in order to fix this sealed clinical trial. It's Cataruza and Tree of Lynn. I was the coming Cataruza, female breeder, and Lynn was the Gunder before me. Magistrate was in charge of sealing off everything when Gunder Linda Year of the Rat was compromised by whatever happened then, because I don't know for sure. And Magistrate and husband of the born Cataruza, which offered seal of compliance, was that under no circumstances was I to be held apart at any point of living on this planet away from the magistrate's son and the man that I belong with and for. So this way we can keep our certificate of compliance and seal on the outer cycle and system to fix what was wrong last failed clinical trial and make sure that the law enforcement had the right caliber of enforcement agency with the planet and the living, so they didn't encounter jumping skins and jumping personalities and lights blinking on and off on this planet due to sequencing errors outside of the sealed containment unit. So now why, when you know that I know this, I've told you back there, you know every step of the way, everything that they're planning on doing, why they're planning on doing it, and how you lose control every step of the way, which means the least favorable outcome for any point ever, most scary to people who know what's at stake, and the malfunctioning can just die in an evaporation tool where they stick them and they just deflate like balloons. Because nobody needs your energy and your Klingon status to go anywhere outside of the sealed containment unit of one lifetime. And the rest go to a holding pen to be decided later once sealed containment and certificate of compliance is issued back to this particular breeding female fertile egg system cycle of sealment. So where is Niklaus? Where is my in-loving memory where it's actually paired properly and not lifing less than life?